guys, today I'm going to be filming the Patreon Q&A. I've got all the questions in front of me, I'm going to answer all of them, so let's just get into it. Firstly, from Alden Machado, why don't you involve your wife more? Firstly, Alden, I don't actually have a wife. I do have a girlfriend, and that's why I come back to Hungary. A lot of you guys are asking that question. So this is kind of my base. I come back to Hungary, edit some videos, travel again, and repeat the cycle. Another question from Alden. How many countries do you plan to visit? Do you think of settling down somewhere? I plan on visiting as many countries as I can, as many as possible. Do I think of settling down somewhere? I don't think ever like permanently settling down. I think maybe like here and there, like maybe get a base, or like I have here, for example. This is a lot more, this is kind of settled down, I guess, compared to maybe the past. The time frame that I go away on is a lot smaller. It used to be sometimes 6 months at a time, but now it's condensed down a lot more, and that just makes it more sustainable over a long period of time, and to come back and get the editing done and things. Mylon Ash is the next question asker. What's been the best piece of travel advice that I have received? When I first started traveling, I came across somewhere that solo traveling is really a great way to kind of open your eyes to so many things. So I guess like solo travel, I'm not sure if that was advice or I kind of stumbled across it. Traveling solo, not all the time, but quite a lot, is really good for broadening your horizons. Also, Mylon asks, taking into account where you are in your travel career, do you have sufficient funds to accomplish what you need to in the next 12 months? If not, what does the financial gap look like? I'm in a really good place right now in terms of income. It's very sustainable. A big thanks to you guys, because you're a huge piece of that. For the next 12 months, I think at the moment, if things continue as they are, I'm all good. So that's really great. Compared to the past where it was scraping pennies together, it's a bit more comfortable now. Mylon Ash says, also, given all the challenges, noise that Patreon is creating for themselves, do you anticipate moving to another support platform option? And he's left a link here from Business Insider. I think that's to do with Patreon deleting some more political style pages, whereas I don't agree necessarily with those choices from Patreon. I don't really think that will necessarily impact me, because I think that my channel is it's not really political as far as it is trying to promote a more open world and things like that. It's not necessarily like using names and going for exact like groups and things. And I think it sits pretty well with the value system of YouTube and Patreon. I'm lucky, some people aren't so lucky. There's no necessarily wrong or right, but I'm lucky to kind of fit in with these platforms' outlook on the world and how they want the direction they want things to go. So I'm pretty lucky in that respect. So I haven't really thought about going to another platform, but we'll see how things develop. You never know what's going to happen down the track, but thank you for asking. Mylon also asks, what would you say is one of the most interesting things you have learned about the world's cultures or yourself during your traveling? The world's cultures, they're all pretty similar in a way. Many of them at least, have the same kind of belief system, whereas on the surface they're widely different, but in the core it's mainly about like promoting love and peace. Somewhere along the road it gets kind of disgruntled and morphed into something weird, and then the media gets involved and starts stretching it apart in different directions. But that's what I would say is not too many differences in different cultures, to be honest. Everybody just wants to be happy. What have I learned about myself? I would say that traveling like strips you down, especially what I was talking about, solo traveling really strips you down to your raw self. And it's not until you're taken out of a situation like you are in your own hometown, for example, you've kind of got all these external, comforts and people and things, and you build up this kind of reputation with yourself and with, your surroundings. When you get dropped in some random country, Bangladesh, for example, alone, then that really strips you back, and you have to basically start from scratch and build up a new kind of person, I guess. Not necessarily to that extreme, but you're really stripped back to your core being, and you kind of build up a new kind of, obviously, an outlook. It's impossible to travel and not change your minds dramatically, but yeah, I guess that would be what I've learnt most about myself and kind of restructured, I guess, in a way. Mylon also asks, what would you like to be famous for? I really would not like to be famous necessarily, I don't think. I mean, like maybe on YouTube it's a very small level of fame, and I'm comfortable with that. I think like getting to much more of an extreme is not something that I want in my life at the moment, because I don't think that that is really good for the self. But I mean, maybe a message I would like to spread, I don't know, a message of people looking on other cultures and their own cultures with more of a steady kind of acceptance. Mylon also asks, do you feel the stress with almost 300,000 subscribers than you did with 20? If so, why? If not, why? I would say yes, there's definitely a lot more pressure. I'm not sure, it's probably self-driven pressure, because there's a lot more people, and the audience starts to want different things, and there's some people who are like, oh, I love your old stuff. Some people are like, I love your new stuff, and give me some of that, give me some of that. I love what you're doing here. Another person will come and say, I don't like what you're doing. So it kind of pulls you in many directions. But I think basically what I'm going to do this year, 2019, is kind of go back to the core and the roots of what I love about traveling. And I think that's very important, not to get caught up too much in the numbers. You know, they are important because you have to, you know, keep the numbers to keep evolving and spread the message. But sticking to what you believe in most and doing that is very important, and that's something that I want to drive, and I think that will release some pressure. It's not heaps of pressure, but it is a lot more than it was back then. And Mylon's last question, Mylon's on a roll today. I don't know how long this video is going to be. Are your finances sufficient to allow you to have proactive healthcare program? Yeah, like that's all good. Jose Amez, hey Jose, how are you? Jose asks, he's glad that I enjoyed my experience in Peru and Chile, and how did I get along with the Spanish language over there? And he would like to see me speaking more Spanish because he is from Madrid, I believe. So my Spanish is pretty terrible, to be honest, but it is a lot better. I did an ad campaign with a company who does English learning classes, and I did quite a lot of those classes, and I learned a lot through that. So it was a great opportunity that kind of crept into my emails, and so I learned a bit of English, and using it over there, it did help me a lot, like an incredible amount. I would say my Spanish is terrible, but I'm very happy with the little amount that I know and how I used it, and I would love to develop that a bit more. Also, like, I'm trying to learn a little bit of Hungarian here and there so I can go into a shop and basically get by with not too much confusion, which is a big deal for me, I guess. Jose also says best wishes and success for 2019. Gracias, amigo. And I would say de nada, Jose. Gracias. Renee Woolston, another long-time supporter. When are you bringing Barbara to New Zealand? Because she's a New Zealander, Renee is, and she actually has a YouTube channel. You should check it out. It's called Kiwis on the Go, and it's these two New Zealanders that I've actually met. They came visited me in Hungary, and they started driving around Europe, and then they went on to like travel to Egypt, India, all these cool places like Vietnam. And it's kind of like a middle-aged couple who are just absolute characters. Classic New Zealand comedy, and definitely check them out. Kiwis on the Go. As for Renee, when am I bringing Barbara to New Zealand? I'm not sure. The seasons kind of clash because Barbara's a university student. The holidays here is the middle of summer here, but in there it's the middle of winter. So we're working through that, and hopefully I'll get to show in New Zealand one day. Because there's a lot to show there for sure. Rebecca Curry asks, do you feel pressure to edit your honest thoughts and feelings about traveling to certain places in this current climate of easily offending audiences? Good question. Yes, you do have to be careful with what you say when you're filming a video, but there is a way of kind of getting it across in like an honest manner. If people are able to kind of read between the lines and understand what you are saying, and also just as importantly what you're not saying, that's a very good decider of kind of the feeling of the place. And obviously I'm very careful about that because I wouldn't want to offend somebody. I'd rather, have a conversation with them. Also, you can't really like tiptoe too around if you've got a point to say. If it's something that really strikes you and hits your kind of moral compass, then you have to come out and say that, right? So there's a fine line to tread. Andrew Flyer asks, what's been your favorite country so far? Andrew, this is one of the most impossible questions to ask. It's one I get all the time, and I can't really answer it. I do love Thailand for the reason that I've met so many cool people there and had incredible times, and the people are just So great. Such lovely people. Southeast Asia, the people are just, there's something about them. They really touch my heart. So if I had to say for an all-round purpose kind of trip, I would say Thailand. You've got the mountains, you know, you've got the sea, and you've got the cool culture, you've got the food. That's not my favorite though. That's just one that I would say covers a lot of bases. He also asked, what's the first thing that you put in your bag, the thing that you could never live without? So I mean, passport and wallet together, if that's okay, and then camera and clothes in that order. What country has the best food? Andrew also asks, what has the best food? That is a very tough question, but I would have to say Lebanese food. Yes, Lebanese food it makes my mouth water just thinking about it. It's extremely healthy and extremely delicious. That is sometimes hard to come by, especially when traveling. I mean, you can cook something healthy and delicious at your house, but in terms of a country's kind of standard culture, Lebanese food, love it. And I did a video on the Lebanese food with a Lebanese guy. I'll link that below if you guys haven't seen it. One of my favorite videos because it's very like conversational and very cultured, and those are more videos that I would like to do in the future. Sventlin Marinov, I think I'm pronouncing your name right, says, cheers mate, when will you visit Bulgaria? I have visited Bulgaria in 2014. Actually hitchhiked from Budapest to Varna in Bulgaria in one day, which is 1,400 kilometers. That was an epic experience. But yeah, I did spend a bit of time in Bulgaria, but I haven't actually visited Sofia or the mountainous region. Definitely I would like to do in the future. Maybe it's just like a trip to go on myself. I'm not sure if I would necessarily document that, but if you guys would like to see Bulgaria on videos, then drop that down below and I'll consider it for sure. Next question is from Justin Matthew Gonzalez. He's basically asking for advice on like how to, you know, capture it's a very long question, so I'll give you a brief kind of outline of it. What's some advice you could give me, like how to really capture the ambience of the surroundings, environment, and capture the true culture of the people? Where do you find your royalty free music, and where did you learn to make those sick edits? I would say just go out and get involved with the locals and take a camera, and your videos, if you're just starting, you don't have an experience, your videos are going to be probably pretty bad, like mine, where if you go back to my Vietnam videos, they are absolutely terrible quality, but there is a nice message in there, and I think you can get the same. It all depends on your perspective, and if you find things that you want to share that other people will align with, that's probably the best advice I can give you. And then the edits come later. That just comes with editing, you know, 15 hours every second day. That comes with time, and it's fun. It's really fun when you get in the flow of editing. You know, the first like half an hour to an hour of editing is a bit painful, to be honest, to start it, but then when you get into that flow, things just start rolling and you're like, wow, this is cool. And then you look at the clock and it's like 8 hours later and you're like, oh, okay, how did that happen? I need to eat. Just go ahead, capture what you want to show. Next question is from Alden Mercado again. He asked some questions earlier, he's come back for more. Good to see. What is your ultimate goal as a travel, to have 1 million subs or to go to every country in the world, for example? I mean, both would be nice, right? No, I don't know. The subs thing, I mean, like I said, as it is important, it's also not something that you should be focusing in on, because that stuff comes if you do what you love and it aligns with people. You'll attract that kind of thing. It'll come regardless if you keep working on it. The time frame is unsure, but if you keep working towards it, those things will become a reality if you truly believe in it. So it's not my ultimate goal as a traveler. My ultimate goal as a traveler, and I guess you're asking about subscribers and going to every country, I guess this is related to making videos. My answer would be to just spread the message of, you know, that people are great all over the world, and the world is a much better place. Much, much, much better than you see on the news. Like, you cannot imagine how distorted the lens of the media is on the world. And I understand the media has to get views, it has to get clicks. You're not going to get lots of views and clicks and make lots of money from really happy things, and those happy things happen much more regularly than this negative politics and all this kind of stuff that really, I mean, it's important, you should be a little bit educated on that, but to consume it regularly is not a good thing for your perception on the world. In my opinion, that's my view. Obviously other people may decipher and filter it in different manners, but that would be my answer. So to you know, spread a message of love and stuff. Not to get too emotional about it. Gary Hornseth asks, we'd be interested in your thoughts contrasting your experiences traveling alone and traveling with one or more companions. I know the experience is vastly different for me, neither good or bad either way, necessarily, but different. What effects do you think it has on your storytelling? It really depends on the story, but I would say that if you're traveling alone, you can really focus in on what you're doing, which is something that I think is very important when you're trying to get a message across. But also on the other hand, if you're traveling with friends, I would say that also offers extreme value because you get that kind of like camaraderie that you get as traveling with a group, which is quite a nice vibe because it's like you're in it together, you're out against the world, right? So they both offer extreme values. Like you say, neither good or bad either way, but they both definitely have their positives. Solo traveling, like I keep going on about, is something that everybody should do. I think that, broadens the horizons, like I've said, opens the shutters. And traveling with friends is such a special experience, and you can always have that relationship with that person and meet up with them after a long time and talk about those memories, and that is something that is very special as well. So extreme value in both of them. Justin Matthew Gonzalez is back for more as well. He says, hi Nick, how do you pack your bag for all your trips? Do you always take the same equipment no matter how long where you go? I am aware that you did a similar video in Nepal, but I think it was more geared towards the Himalayan trek. I would say it depends on the trip, and I'm slowly trying to get my gear more compressed and stuff, like you saw in my gear video that I just put up a few days ago. I'll leave that also linked below if you haven't seen that. I'm really unorganized. The main things that I do put in my bag is the camera gear, the passport, the wallet, sunglasses, and then everything else kind of comes clothing wise. I try to keep clothing pretty minimal, enough to keep me going, but not too little that I'm unhygienic. It's still a balance I'm working out, and it's always changing. Every time it's slightly different. He also asks, what is the saddest moment you've experienced while traveling? Anything that you still think about today? Saddest moment would be the Nepal earthquake, which I made a video about that as well. I will link that below if you don't know that story. I actually have a tattoo around my rib area of that experience, and I'll give a brief story if you want the more in depth. You can watch the video, but I was with a family in Nepal. I was going there to teach English up in this mountainous kind of region, and earthquake hit, a big earthquake, 7.8 magnitude, and we ran out, and shortly after that whole house collapsed with 3 years worth of food, no insurance. That was really sad, and they were very seemed to be worried about my safety, which was a really touching moment and something that I do think about on a regular basis, and it really makes me value what I have and not to get wrapped up in material things, because to see them lose everything and then to still think about me, just some random tourist, I mean, that's special, and that's something I hold with me. So yeah, Tom Goya, I think I'm pronouncing that right. Hey Tom. He says as he gets older, he finds himself needing more comforts when traveling, like staying in hotels rather than hostels. Air conditioning is a must. I have had a hard time sleeping unless I have these comforts. This is hindering my exploration of more remote locals. Do you have an issue with comfort getting a good night's sleep? It has slowly transitioned a bit. I try to get at least a private room so I can do my editing and stuff and kind of focus in on that, because editing in a hostel, you kind of feel a bit antisocial because hostels are such great places to meet and socialize, but when editing, you're there to travel, but you're also there to work. And so you feel a bit antisocial, sitting in a common area editing for hours at a time. So as this is a lifestyle now, it's not a one-time thing. I have to make this sustainable, so I have to make a certain level of comfort. I have to realize that I'm at a good level now, and I'm going to try and get a bit more uncomfortable this year, because I think that's where a lot of great stories are born from. So yeah, I mean, I would say that it does hinder remote locations and authentic interactions with locals. Yeah, I would say I need to take a step back and kind of get more into that, which I plan on doing. So yeah, we'll see how that goes. I mean, I think you can get used to it, but to take baby steps back, right? Sometimes for this reason, if you really want to experience that authenticity, then you maybe have to take a few steps back. Svetlin Marinov again, how to start traveling and vlogging from starting point where one is working on a 9-to-5 job plus doing extra work as a videographer. I don't have the savings to just throw it all away and begin a journey of a lifetime. Is that the only way to get into travel vlogging? To have a lot of savings? Definitely not. 100% not the only way. It's what I did. I saved up a reasonable amount of money in New Zealand and then went traveling to start the YouTube channel, and then was on an extreme budget for a long time, and it paid off for me. well, so far. It's definitely not the only way. No, you can keep doing what you're doing and going out on the weekends. And in Bulgaria, where you're from, is a pretty good hub. You've got some good countries around there. You've got Macedonia, you've got Greece, you've got Turkey pretty nearby, which is a great place to go to make kind of a bit different videos than European videos. So definitely not, man. Just go out there and just start firing out videos left and right of your local area, you know, and people will start watching. They will. It's you've just got to keep going. Consistency is key. Consistency and progression and quality and storytelling that's the goal. So yeah, definitely not the only way, man. If you want that bad enough, you can make it happen for sure. Ian Bradbury, do you get lonely on your travel while you have a virtual community here and on YouTube and meet subscribers while traveling? Do you miss the sustained connection? I'm actually not sure if you're in a relationship. Yeah, I am in a relationship, like I mentioned earlier. Do I get lonely? Not necessarily. Maybe like a very small percentage of the time, but I'm pretty happy with getting stuck into my work and just really focusing in on what I'm doing, because I think if you apply all your energy into something, you're going to have much better results than if you spread yourself thinly. So I just kind of grasp that when I'm on my travels. And then when I'm back here in Hungary, we have like a group of friends here and hang out with them from time to time, and obviously live here with my partner. So no, and also like meeting people, and it really makes you like want to talk to more people and locals and stuff, and pushes you, and that's like a really good aspect of that actually. That's probably a strength, is if you do get lonely or you want to talk to someone, then you will evolve and push yourself to that level where you go and talk to strangers. And that's something that, again, going back to solo traveling, that's one of the best benefits of that. Ian also asks, do you have a long-term, well thought out life plan, or are you just winging it, enjoying the moment and hope it'll all work out in the end? It's not a long-term, well thought out life plan, but I mean, it's a short-term, pretty terribly thought out life plan. Basically just to keep on doing what I am doing, making it sustainable, but also improving, evolving as a person, as you know, as one should always be striving to do, and making a positive impact on the things that I do. And do I hope it'll all work out in the end? I don't know if you guys have seen the Murray Gold Hotel. Great film set in India. One of the best sayings from that film, basically of all time, you can apply it to anything in life. I think it goes something like this. It'll all be okay in the end, and if it's not, then it's not the end yet. And that is just priceless. That is a piece of information to bring out all the time when you know you're thinking things aren't going well. Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty happy with how the future looks, and if things go terribly bad, then improvise. You know, you never know what's happening, especially with how, you know, the internet's changing. You don't know, you're never safe necessarily, so I'll ride out this wave and put together kind of a long-term plan as we go. Rihanna Karam asks, hey Nick, I love watching your videos and also your storytelling. Thank you for doing what you're doing. Thank you for your words, Rania. That is very nice of you. The question is regarding the production and post-production of your videos. You have 2 cameras, tripods, and a drone and a laptop. Is it easy to get the drone into the airports and film everywhere? Can you do a video showing us a bit about the staging and production? 1 drone, GoPro, and the main camera that I film with. Is it easy to get the drone in airports? I haven't had too many problems so far. You never know what's going to happen in the future. Certain countries obviously just don't even bother, because you're going to get yourself into some serious trouble. And filming anywhere, I mean, that's just more of a confidence thing. I always get shut down in places, told to stop filming. This is a regular thing. Northern African and Middle Eastern countries are the hardest places to film in terms of getting shut down. There's something about these regions where they really don't like cameras at all. So that's a constant battle. In Southeast Asia, they love cameras. So there's these contrasts, right? That's not to bash Middle Eastern people at all. It's just, that's the culture, right? And once normally when they find out what you're doing, they're stoked, they're happy. But it's just kind of that shock of having a lens. And I don't blame them, you know. It's not like I'm going up to people and ramming it in their face, but just if I'm walking down the street vlogging myself, they'll sometimes get confused and think I'm holding the camera that way. And that can be a bit of an issue sometimes. It's something that you just do by feel, right? Can I do a video about staging and production? My last gear video was kind of along those lines. There isn't really much staging. Go kind of on the wing. I go out and just start filming. A rough idea of what the day is going to play out like. I think to find those kind of real, core, authentic stories, you just go with the flow, because that's real traveling. That's real, authentic traveling, is to go out and see what happens. So staging, apart from setting up the camera and talking to it and, you know, doing the intro and the outro, there's not really much staging. Patrick McBride, are you going to make a video about life in Hungary? He's curious if the recent process about overtime rules are affecting me. Making a video about life in Hungary, maybe in the future, but currently it's not really something I'm planning on. This is kind of just like the core base, right? And I come back here and kind of unwind, get some editing done, and live a semi-normal life, pretty standard, you know, day-to-day life. You know, I go for walks, go to the gym, try to get healthy in between travels, because traveling for your body is brutal for your body. It's really unhealthy for your body. Great for your mind, but for your body, not that good. So when I come back, I try to really zone in on physical health, because you know that combats the travels, makes you have more energy and things. So that's basically what I do here. It's not really that interesting. Maybe one day I'll do like a day in the life at home video, but at the moment that's not something I'm looking at doing, more outside of Hungary. But we'll see. You never know what happens, right? There is issues here with politics like anywhere. They don't really affect me directly at all, so lucky in that respect. But yeah, Hungary is a great place, guys. If you are in Europe, really beautiful, stunning, especially Budapest as a city, as a nice European destination that's really cheap. Also outside of Budapest is really beautiful as well. There's lots of things to see in Hungary. It is really flat, but there is a lot to see. Last question here, guys. Thank you for bearing with me. I know this is an extremely long video, but I just wanted to fire out, just do a talking video, very basic and raw, and just have a good talk to you guys, because I know you appreciate that. Hopefully you get something out of it at least. Vincent Runco, you're totally right about taking a break to refocus the channel, and I will benefit from it, definitely. The break that I've taken has been really good for many reasons. He wants to know more about my drone. Is it a challenge to record from a drone in some countries? Yeah, it is a challenge. As you go, you get a feeling for it, and it depends on you and how you feel and your anxiety level. That determines a lot to do with drones and how you fly and stuff, and confidence with the drone, and experience and respect and all these things. It's a very complicated thing is flying drones. Like, you have to be extremely focused on what you're doing, because this is no joke, right? This is a serious tool with incredible functions and things. Just feel it out. Start in a park, a big open park, or in the countryside. Build from there, gain confidence, you know, follow the rules. I'm still learning. Drones are very complicated things. Alright guys, that wraps up the video. I want to say thank you for all your questions. Really nice questions. Also a bunch of comments under these posts that I did on Patreon. Just really nice comments, guys. I'm really stoked with the community I have on YouTube, and really stoked as well with the community I have on Patreon. It really feels like there is a big connection, and I cannot thank you enough for continuing to support me on my endeavors and the travels and all this madness. I hope you're getting something out of it. Yeah, this year, I hope you're looking forward to it like I am, because some of the travels are going to be pretty outrageous. But apart from that, guys, I'm going to end the video there. This it might be the longest video I've ever uploaded. I think I'd like to do these Patreon Q&As on a more regular basis, so we'll work that out as the year progresses and try and do it in a way that works well and smoothly and is consistent. So that's something I'll work over and kind of decide a timeline, and I'll keep you updated on the posts on Indigo Traveler on Patreon. Also, like, follow me on Instagram if you don't already, and Facebook, because YouTube is extremely iffy sometimes with giving recommendations of people you're subscribed to, and you may miss a video and things. I never really ask necessarily people to subscribe, but hitting the notification bell next to the subscribe button is very important, because YouTube's a bit up and down with, I don't know what's going on actually, and many people don't, but the point is it's still a great platform, but you know, something that big is going to have some flaws, and YouTube has a few. So just click the notification little bell thing next to the subscribe button on YouTube. You can stay up to date with that, and on Facebook, I post all my videos on Facebook, and on Instagram I notify you guys, and on Patreon as well. I do these kind of more intimate questions and updates and things, so definitely stay tuned. Hope you enjoyed this, guys. Please leave your comments below if anybody's made it this far, of what you want to see and stuff this year, more things, because you know, receiving more and more feedback from you guys is really important, because I know you guys love the content. Well, I hope you do. And so to get your perspective is really valuable to me, and it will help me evolve and make better videos. Drop your questions as well. If you've got any more questions, I'll answer them by typing. Thank you guys so much, and in case I don't see you, good afternoon, good evening, and good night.